Welcome back to Justice. A federal judge makes headlines by suggesting Robert Mueller has overstepped his authority in the Paul Manafort investigation and may be out to get the president. Where have you heard that one before? Joining me now, Victoria Toensing. She's one of the founding partners of DeGeneva and Toensing law firm. Victoria, thanks for being here. I might also add that you were Deputy Attorney General and Assistant United States Attorney, and you're married now to the United States Attorney, Joe DeGeneva.
And we were all, Rudy and Joe and I were all in the department at the same time. So we go back, I mean, a few decades here.
Okay. Well, okay, let me ask you this. One of the things that the left has been going ballistic about since Rudy made his appearance on this network is, did Rudy Giuliani counsel to the president by discussing Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels? Did he, in essence, waive the attorney-client privilege? And therefore, can Rudy be subpoenaed to talk about what he spoke to the president about?
This just drives me nuts. Number one, I don't know where these journalists get their so-called experts. The privilege belongs to the President of the United States. His lawyer cannot waive it for him. Nobody else can waive it for him. So they get all confused about waiving the
waiver can only happen as a result of the client and not the attorney.
That's right. Well, but this is what happens. The media, anything the president does or anyone connected with the president, I know, Joe and I know, we've been there, they start figuring out some way to criticize him. All this angst about whether the privilege was waived. What do they think? Mueller's going to put Rudy in the grand jury and say, okay, so tell me what you've learned in the last 2 weeks?
You know what? Based on what I've been seeing, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't have time to go there. Listen, the question now, as a result of Judge Ellis in that district court in Virginia, basically saying, you're just getting Manafort to flip, and you're trying to pull him by the short hairs and all that other stuff. Is it legitimate for prosecutors to do that?
Well, if you know what the crime is, I did that when I had drug kingpins and we had all the evidence that there was a crime and this guy was doing it and he was using, low-level people, so that you do the low-level people to get to the drug kingpin. But here, we don't even have a crime. We have no idea what the crime is because no one will tell us. And here's the danger with a Manafort telling him he might spend the rest of his life in prison. My client, Scooter Libby, had the same situation when the same people, Comey and Patrick Fitzgerald, his now lawyer, went to Scooter Libby's lawyers and said, if you give us something about Vice President Cheney, this will all go away and you won't be indicted. Well, Scooter Libby is a strong man and an honest man, but not everybody is that strong, and they're looking at spending the rest of their life in prison, and they can do what Alan Dershowitz talks about, composing rather than singing what the real facts are. It's very, very dangerous in this situation.
Let me ask you, let's get right to the, to the central issue here. Can the president even be indicted?
He cannot. Under two separate opinions, one in 1973 after Nixon, written by a Republican Justice Department, and in 2000 written by a Democratic Justice Department. The president cannot be indicted. It's based on separation of powers, constitutional grounds, like you're not going to have the president go in and report to a lower court, but also on policy grounds. The opinion said the president is busy. You cannot take a criminal process, not even an indictment. You cannot take a criminal process to the point where the president becomes incapacitated to run the presidency. So if he cannot be indicted, Judge, Your Honor, to what purpose does Mueller want to interrogate, question the president?
Victoria,
what would he do with it?
We went through this with Bill Clinton. I remember this from Bill Clinton, when all that thing. He can be sued civilly, but wait a minute. He can be sued civilly, but he cannot be indicted. We already went through this. Why is everybody acting like this is territory that we're not familiar with?
Clinton did do a grand jury. Remember, he testified in front of the grand jury, sort of, where he lied.
Right.
But that was under the independent counsel statute.
Right.
This is now not the independent counsel statute. And who knew what creature that was? Nobody could figure that out.
Can the president be subpoenaed?
Well, not for these questions that they have, and I can get into that. I don't know if we have the time, because these questions that 40-some violate not only the Article 2 of the Constitution, but executive privilege and settled case law. So these questions are for Pooey. Good legal term.
All right. That's what I like, a real legal term. Victoria Toensing, thanks for being with us tonight. And a busy night, and we haven't even heard from the panel yet. Katrina Pearson from the Trump